Let's welcome Ashley Johnson.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, how many of you in this room, I tapped in here on the panel. So most of you in here are B2C, is that correct? Some of you in here are B2B. Who's B2B? Solely B2B. Great. And how many of you B2Cers have a B2B kind of avenue right now? Let me do. Great. LinkedIn, as we know, is primarily B2B, but that does not exclude B2C from being able to use the data that you pull off of LinkedIn. So don't let that kind of get you scared from the get-go. Where we find this data, so LinkedIn actually makes it pretty easy to find some of your data right now. Show of hands, who has exported their data from LinkedIn in the past? Few of you. So the reason that we want to do this, it actually really helps your salespeople. So I look at things from a sales perspective. I'm formerly an outside salesperson turned marketer, and really it boils down to sales leads for me. That's what I really want to accomplish in all of my marketing strategies. I'm a lean marketing fanatic, so that's really where we're going here. This strategy that I'm about to talk about is really great to use to support your sales team. In the B2B space primarily, B2C, it's also possible. You can still build those relationships with this data. You'll find your data right now. If you go to this link right here, I'll get out of your way, linkedin.com/p-settings/member-data. So if you go to that, you'll be able to export your data. So if you're on your computer and you want to do that right now, go ahead. LinkedIn doesn't give you all of the nitty-gritty information, so there's other third-party tools that you can use to pull even more information than LinkedIn gives you. LinkedIn will give you first name, last name, email address, company, and the date I believe that you connected with them on. So it's still good information, but it's not enough, right? We want to target even more specifically. I like to target by location, for instance. So in order to do that, you need to use some third-party software to pull that information. So there's software out there called Duck Soup. There's plenty of other pieces of software that you can use, but if you use a system like that, it does a whole lot of other things. Don't get carried away because I don't recommend using all of its features, but it is good for extracting data. And the data you get from Duck Soup will tell you more about your connections. It will tell you their location, their basically everything that you want to know on their profile, phone number, Twitter, all of their good contact information that LinkedIn doesn't want to give you that easily. But what's also cool about Duck Soup is more than just that. You can tag profiles, which makes it great when you come to targeting and extracting this data. So I won't get into the weeds of that, but this is where you want to go. Go ahead and export your data. You want to get the works. If you've never done this before, just go ahead and get the works. LinkedIn doesn't need to know what information you want from it because they're just going to shut this down as soon as they know where everybody wants to go. So I don't like to tell them. Go for the works. So this is what it looks like when you go for the works. You'll get a zip file, all of this information comes out. I like to focus on the connections, and the reason being is those email addresses are so valuable, not to go and email market to these people, but to go in and use that in your AdWords or your display campaigns on Facebook or Twitter. I mean, you can really reduce your ad spend here by targeting people who you know for sure are interested in your business or they're already in your target audience. Maybe they're a current client, maybe they're somebody you're already talking to. That's even better. That helps your salesperson build that brand trust that they need to really boost those conversions. Not only that, but by using AdWords and doing just a pure brand awareness campaign with this data, you can increase your conversion rate on a phone call by 300%. So I highly recommend that if you're not using this data to help your sales team, take a look at what you can get out of there. You can export the data from either the salesperson's individual profiles or you can set them up on a team account through LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Have any of you used LinkedIn Sales Navigator before? A few of you? It's my favorite tool just because you can be so specific in your search, targeting people and connecting with those right people. I love to make connections with people that I have a reason to make a connection with. Now, that doesn't mean, I'm sure you're all seeing it right now, everybody's going in mass connecting and saying, hey, if you connect, here's my free ebook, thanks so much. It's so obnoxious, so many people are doing that. So I'm not saying that, But what I am saying is you can actually make connections with people you don't know as long as you have a very good reason to do so. And your salespeople generally have been to networking events and they are meeting a lot of people. So encourage them to connect with people that they've met in real life events. Go ahead and ask them to connect with those people. Instead of keeping their business cards in a Rolodex. I mean, I can't believe how many salespeople still do that. We're moving to this day and age where everything needs to be online. And LinkedIn's a great way to keep everybody organized. And if you have a team Sales Navigator account, as the marketing team, you can control that data. If you don't have that team account, it's kind of like the Wild West with salespeople, right? So I highly recommend that you take a look at the data that you currently have access to. See where you're at. So I already talked about increasing the call conversion rate 300%. I mean, how many times do the salespeople come to you and they say, you know, marketing's just not doing their job, they're not giving us good leads, and it's their fault. All the time, right? There's a ton of animosity between sales and marketing. Well, this is a great way to really quiet that down, quiet that chatter, because we are giving you good leads, you're just not doing, you know, and we know it's a give and take, right? And I've been on both sides of this, so it's a tug of war. But this is a great way to really help them, and it is working. Now, the reason being is we're boosting brand credibility. We're being seen in more and more places. So you're being seen across the web, you're being seen on other social platforms, and now you have your salespeople also building those actual personal relationships. So it's just multiple different ways to connect with people using simple data extracted from LinkedIn, which is free. It doesn't cost anything, which is even better. I love free, cheap, love it. And these AdWords campaigns are so affordable because you figure each salesperson maybe has, I would say, anywhere from 100 to 300 people that fall within your target audience. If you're only delivering ads to that few people, oh my gosh, it's so cheap. I mean, you have no reason not to do that. Significantly increase your brand awareness. I mean, you're everywhere. I've had several people. I do this for my company. This is how I've grown my business. We've been in business 3 years. We have a team of 35 now, and we're international in 3 years, which is huge. I never ever thought that this would be my life, right? This is what I did. And people say all the time, my God, Ashley, you are everywhere. I see your ads, I see your videos, I see you everywhere online. Well, that's because I'm serving it directly to the people who I want to see that. And I'm really not annoying everybody else, or at least I'd hope not. If you're doing it right, you shouldn't be. Inbound leads, both organic and paid. So, you know, we serve the ads primarily on a brand awareness basis. We generally don't have any kind of real call to action in this. We just want our brand to kind of be in their face in a more discreet way, right? We don't want to just pop up ad, all that crap, no. But what we do want to do is have, you know, a brand awareness campaign that's strong enough to where, honestly, if you get them at the right time, they might actually call you. And it does happen. So you're working it from both angles, both organic and paid, which I love, works seamlessly. Salespeople are 4.2 times more likely to gain an appointment if they have an established connection with the prospect. This one's huge because we run across people all the time at conferences, right? Or other networking events, and we often lose track of them if we don't establish a connection on LinkedIn. I've lost business cards so many times. If I don't just add you on LinkedIn, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna forget you. So either add me on LinkedIn if you want me to remember you, or honestly, it's probably not so good. If you give me that business card, it's probably going in the trash. I'm gonna be honest, I'm a millennial. That's just how life is now. So and more millennials are moving up in the workforce. So it really, really is important to really digitize your networking. Why is the data a big deal? Reaching your target audience on multiple platforms. It seems so basic. Nothing that I'm saying to you is probably groundbreaking, right? It's just a different way to access really affordable data and use it on other platforms. By the way, has anyone ever done this before? Ever used LinkedIn data in other platforms? Yeah? Great. Yes. Oh, heck yeah. Yeah, that's a great, great system, and you've seen it. You've probably then seen some of these results. It's powerful. Reduces your advertising spend. Now, this is more important for the smaller businesses, really. Pay-per-click can be really, really competitive for some people. And so this is a great way for them to kind of get that leg up as a smaller business, right? They don't have to spend as much money. You can kind of work your way up. Increases conversion rates, it's a no-brainer. Sends ads directly to your network. I love this personally because I can also cater my ads, but I track my own network pretty well. And we do this for our clients too. So we want to see what our target audience is talking about. And we want to also not only just do a brand awareness campaign of us, right? But I want to deliver content that they've been talking about. So maybe it's not even my company at all in front of them, but maybe it's an article that we wrote about a topic that they've been talking about. This is a great way to just send ads to those people. Tailored advertising and marketing is obviously more appealing. I think we all know that. The more targeted and the more niche refined your message is, that content marketing, right? Everybody's talking about content marketing. This is it. I mean, this is just the advertising piece of it. It's more tailored, more direct. Top B2B sellers are on LinkedIn 6 hours per week. In my opinion, that's not even enough, but I mean, how often would you guys say? Are you going into LinkedIn at least once a day? I hope so. I hope so. Even on the marketing side, it's really important that you're on LinkedIn, not just for your own sakes, but it's important that you're kind of keeping an eye on your sales force because sometimes they will say the darndest things on LinkedIn, and you kind of need to control that. Now, some larger companies are starting to get ahead of this, where they're saying, okay, if you want to post content, you know, send it through marketing, let us approve it, make sure it's fitting those brand standards, all that good stuff. But if you're not already doing that, it's really important that you kind of stalk your salespeople. Because unfortunately, even though we give them great information and things to use, they're just naturally going to talk about your brand differently. It's okay that they have their own voice, but you've got to make sure that it's all clear and consistent. Otherwise, you're actually just going to confuse the target audience if they're connected to multiple salespeople. I know, everybody's starving for lunch, right? How are we doing on time? Great. Let's have some questions. I want to kind of open this up because for me, I know LinkedIn data it's so simple, but a lot of people haven't used it before. So I want to hear from some of you. What's something that you've done on LinkedIn? Have you tried advertising on LinkedIn? Do you have questions about the data? Let's open it up. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not a sports person.
Me either.
So my question is, could you go into a little bit more about what you can actually do with those emails? Because I know there's so many rules to it, and you have to make sure that you're, within all of that.
Yes, great question. So what we like to do is we upload that list into, depending on the data that you pull out, right? So we also analyze and cross-reference the data that we pull from LinkedIn to see, are they current clients? Are they former clients? Are they potential clients? Have we had a face-to-face discussion with them? Are they in our pipeline, rather? If they are, then we want to put those people into AdWords. And AdWords allows you to upload emails directly into it. Same with Facebook and Twitter. You can upload all those emails and serve ads directly to any account that's associated with that email. So it's just super highly targeted. And that way you can actually tailor that message to your current clients, former clients, potential clients, if that makes sense.
Does that still fall in line with all of the stuff that's going with Europe, the GDPR, all of that?
You know, I am not a lawyer, and I know in this, I think everybody should honestly consult their attorneys on that because it's too complex for me as a digital marketer to be able to explain all the different regulations there. So don't sue me, is what I'm saying, but go ahead and consult your attorney before you do anything with data because it is a very, very, very hot topic right now, to be quite honest. We run everything that we do through our law firm, but we do not do this internationally. We only do this locally.
Okay.
Yes.
So I was going to add on to her concerns about the GDPR. I mean, for us, when we go into LinkedIn and we send out these ads based on, the whole retargeting or keywords, what happens is with those ads, right, they have your call to action and whether it goes to, some kind of form. And on that form is where you put, you you're seeing this because we use cookies, and you can opt out here, and you give them a way out, and that really covers you on GDPR as long as you give them a way out or you show them your policy on how you're using their data. So that's one thing to keep in mind, right? But always keep that fine print on the bottom of any form that's on your website or any, advertising that you do. So that's one way, like Toshiba, make sure that all grounds are covered, but definitely meet with your legal and make sure that all those verbiage is up to date, right?
Yeah.
Get covered, right?
Thank you for that. Anybody else? Questions on LinkedIn data, maybe how to use it, some of the B2C side. Maybe you have questions how this can be applied on B2C. I'd love to open it up because there are ways to use this information to target B2C. And sometimes you can use it to just target influencers too. We've done this before to target influencers, not just for, really it was actually for a conference. This was about a year ago. We did this for a conference in Phoenix. We used the data to target people that were specifically interested in our keynote speaker. And that was how we attracted those influencers to create a influencer campaign around that. So there are other ways that don't just involve advertising. It just is about establishing relationships too. Yes.
So going back to what you just said, with data of people who are interested in keynote speaker, how did you access the data? Did the keynote speaker pull it from the profile and then send it to you? Or how, if it's not on your profile, how do you get that data?
That's a great question. We found it through LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So you can search by content and what people are talking about. And so Damon John was that keynote speaker, and we just followed anybody that had a lot of influence around Damon John. So if they were getting a lot of engagement, if they were getting a lot of likes, comments, that sort of thing, then we went after them. That was who we wanted to get in front of. And it was really successful. It actually worked out really well. And it was great too because now they had free tickets to go meet Damon John. Anyone else? Yeah.
So I work for a university, and our audience is a little bit different. It's students, even college students.
Yeah, you try.
Thank you. Okay, so as I was saying, I work for a university, and we market to college students, which is a little bit different audience. We're marketing a rec sports program and all the offerings that we have. So how do you see this being applicable in that type of setting?
Great question. So I love to target parents because believe it or not, a lot of young people nowadays don't make their own decisions about going to college, and their parents are filling out their forms for them and helping them pick their university choices. So target the parents with money, target those executives. I mean, we love to target executives. If they're an executive at a company with 1,000+ employees, they're probably not poor. They probably can afford to go. And a lot of times too, they have kids probably in private school currently. They probably have a higher GPA. They've had tutors. So you know that their kids are probably going to be a certain way. It's a lot of assumption for sure. But in that is a lot of data behind that as well. And so once you establish connections and relationships with certain audiences, you're able to really track that data now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Nothing left on LinkedIn data. I know LinkedIn's the most boring, probably, social network. But I will say, if everybody's wondering where it's going, right? Where this data is going, where are we going to get from LinkedIn right now? And I look at Facebook 5 years ago, right? And that's pretty much where LinkedIn is right now. And so you see live video, you see all these other key resources that kind of LinkedIn is starting to adapt to that should have already been there. But there is another program that LinkedIn has through Sales Navigator, especially when you're on the side of sales. You have a large sales team. I think you have to have at least 10 people on this program. You get access to Point Drive. Have any of you used Point Drive before? Okay, we'll get into Point Drive. This is really exciting. So Point Drive allows you to, it's kind of like a HubSpot landing page, right? You get to track everything on that page, from how long they watch that video to who's clicking on what they're reading, how long they're reading it. It's really, really useful information that you can create very segmented landing pages that are all right there housed in LinkedIn. So now you have that data all in one cohesive spot. So if you have different verticals in your business, you can create different Point Drive landing pages and track who's interacting each step of the way, who's more serious. Now you also know, okay, these people took the time to watch all my videos. These people took the time to read all my articles. They're low-hanging fruit. That's a great lead to give to your salesperson, that if they can't close that, then literally that's on them. And another kind of side of that too is if you're wanting to test this out, test it out on your stronger performing salespeople first. Because honestly, the weaker salespeople, if they can't close a good lead, don't waste it on them. And we all know who's who in sales, right? The good ones always come forward. They're always engaging in marketing. They want more, always hungry for more leads. This is a great way to do that. And they also have kind of a control over this Point Drive landing page because this comes from a personal profile. So you're really branding that salesperson as well, which can be really beneficial in going out in a public-facing manner. So you can get your salespeople on a stage at a conference talking about what they're doing with your business and promoting you. And now they have an audience that's already kind of built in on LinkedIn to really promote themselves. So it's good for them. It's good for you. I know some people are scared to invest that way in their salespeople. They're afraid they're going to jump ship. But honestly, if they're worth their weight in salt, they're going to stick around because you're paying them good enough, right? They should be selling, should be making commission. They shouldn't be job hopping.
Yep.
So this is a great way to kind of track. Once you see that the successful salespeople are really closing those deals with the data that you're giving them from LinkedIn, now you can open it up to probably the weaker or maybe the newer salespeople. You can track this the same way. Now, not everybody's going to be your rock star salesperson, right? But you kind of have a bar that's set now. You kind of know what to expect. And if they can't reach that bar, now you know from a marketing standpoint, it's not the leads. We have the data to prove it's not the leads. It's the salesperson. So protect yourselves too in that situation.
Interesting.
Yeah. And the cool part about that is this will keep a lot of the salespeople that want that in-person meeting, right? You're probably going to make a bigger deal. These are your bigger deals. But you can get in front of Fortune 500 companies using this. I mean, it's not just the small businesses, medium-sized businesses that are using LinkedIn. We've gotten in front of Morgan Stanley based on one single LinkedIn video. And literally, I was saying, I'm going to Miami, I'm sipping mojitos, and Morgan Stanley wanted to talk about LinkedIn. So it works. And you can be authentic, and you can create content that's engaging with the people that you want to get in front of. It doesn't have to be boring old LinkedIn stuff. I feel like the culture is shifting on LinkedIn. While that's good and bad because, there's a double-edged sword. I'm pretty sure everybody, well, maybe it's just me, but I hate Facebook. Still on there. My grandparents are on there, so I'll never get off. But
Yeah, same here.
yeah, it's hard to leave. But LinkedIn is really the driver for business. Even on the B2C side, it can be. It really can be. So if any of you ever have questions on the B2B or the B2C side and how to use it in your business, please reach out to me. You can find me on LinkedIn, AJ Ashley Johnson. There's a million Ashley Johnsons, I know. Yeah. So AJ, you can call me AJ, you can call me Ashley, or you can follow me at Twitter and Instagram at AJ on LinkedIn. So any questions that you have about the data, how to use the data, we also will be having kind of a Q&A with our law firm coming up as well. So if you follow me right now, I'll make that announcement. So if you have questions on how you can legally use this data, it's your chance. Yes?
I have a quick question since you brought up the Sales Navigator and the Point Drive.
Yeah.
Now, would you
Question. Since you brought up Sales Navigator and Point Drive, I was curious to know, would that be sort of a replacement to like email marketing automation that we would have, right? So you wouldn't need the Marketos to kind of accomplish the whole lead scoring and being able to get quality leads to your sales guys? Would you recommend that we go that route?
I wouldn't necessarily recommend replacing it.
Okay.
I would use this in addition to. And the reason I say that is eventually you want to get them to the point where they're so warm that they want to be a subscriber to your email list or they want to get you off of LinkedIn. Right. So I wouldn't necessarily replace it, but it is a great way to track them before they're kind of warmed up enough to get in front of you even more in email.
Sure. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on Sales Navigator? And if you've never used Sales Navigator, you can search by, really refined search. So
Yeah.
by content, job title, location, by zip code. So in the free version of LinkedIn, you can target by city, but it's only major city. It really limits you, especially if you're not in a major city.
Yep.
LinkedIn Sales Navigator doesn't restrict you like that. You can target based on language spoken on their profile. So I do a lot of international business, but I only speak English and German and very little German. So what I do is when I travel internationally and I want to write off my business trip, I target people that speak English in that country and I set up a meeting and boop, right off. My favorite kind. So, and that's what I did. I'm going to Iceland here pretty soon, so I'm meeting a couple brand marketing agencies while I'm there because why not? So it's a great way to establish relationships internationally too and expose yourself overseas and make those connections. I love to connect with people that are in my industry internationally. You can learn so much by what people are doing in other countries and their laws because, if it's a law somewhere else, especially in Europe, if it's a law in Europe, it's only a matter of time before it's over here. So, or something similar. So just keeping an eye on their news in their industry. And you can reach out. People are very accepting to that, to say, hey, I'd like to connect with you because I'd love to follow what you're doing in your country, in your industry, in our industry. Let's make a connection. A lot of people are open to that because they're interested in what we're doing here in the US too. It's the same give and take. So if you're sharing good information and good news and good content, they're going to see that and they're going to want to accept that invitation. So it's a great way to just expose your brand even larger. Any other questions?
We got a minute more.
So again, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm sure you guys, if you dive in later today or if you dive in with your sales team and kind of open that dialogue with them about Sales Navigator, I'm sure you're going to be asked a lot of questions that maybe you wouldn't have necessarily thought of intuitively. So if that be the case, please connect with me on LinkedIn. I don't charge to answer those questions, so just ask them, and I'm happy to answer them for you and help your sales team and help your strategy here.
Yep.
Thank you very much for your time
Okay,
today.
and round of applause for Ashley Johnson. Thank you very much.
Thank you.